No. Why are we doing this? What discernible value are they bringing to the ACC? Nothing. Not a thing.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today are our cavalcade of stars, Captain for Life, Will Cotton. Will, it is week 0. How you feeling?
I'm looking like a coach right now. I got the headset,
Yes.
I got the pen going. I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
And our favorite administrator, and yes, he really is our favorite administrator because he keeps us level, Robert Abney. Robert, how are you doing today?
I'm living the dream, man. Ready to get started. Let's get this show going. Let's get football going, man. I'm ready.
Week 0. What is that?
Ready. Let's roll.
All right. So fans, we're back to our regular college tapings. So most of our college basketball news will be on our Wednesday show when we do talk about it. But we're in the fall. It's football season. Segment 1, we're going to go around the territories. Segment 2, we're going to talk about some issues that are just kind of making the week go by. And then segment 3, for the first time this year, strictly for entertainment purposes only, we're going to walk you through gambling, sports betting, but for fun, not for issues. So anyway, brief explanation of the territory system, guys. Pro wrestling used to be based off territories, and every area had their own champions and things, and then you had a national champion who went around the country, and that's kind of how we do college football. But starting next year, the territories will be larger, and we won't have as many. But for this year, let's end it great. So let's start off with the ACC. Robert, I'm starting with you. Do you add Cal, Stanford, and SMU to the ACC? What would you do?
No. No. Why are we doing this? What discernible value are they bringing to the ACC? Nothing. Not a thing. Nothing. That's it.
Do you add Cal, Stanford, and SMU to the ACC?
No way. No way.
Ah,
Yeah, no way. They're not even like big team. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't have a lot of fans. Like
it's Stanford, man. Stanford.
Cal and Stanford people are all like doctors and stuff. They're all wasting their time watching football on a Saturday. They are going out and doing other things. So you're not gaining anything at all.
Oh, man.
Don't do it. Just don't do it.
Robert, you're in Texas. SMU, man. It's Southern Methodist University.
SMU is like the 10th most popular football program in Texas.
I can't.
Aside from it being in Dallas, there is no redeeming value to SMU. None. You know how often I see SMU gear walking around anywhere in Texas that I've been?
Tell me.
Never.
Not even getting to the college.
About never times. That's how often I see it.
Oh, okay. So with that, come on, Florida State. Florida State's ranked 9th. I'm sorry, 8th. Clemson's ranked 9th, and UNC is ranked 21. So let's get it going. All right, we're going to the American. Navy is playing Notre Dame, who is ranked 13th in Dublin. I think Notre Dame's going to drub Navy in Dublin. And come on, Tulane. They are ranked 24th in the preseason poll and look to be the highest ranking Group of 5 team. So they're trying to get to the Cotton Bowl. All right, the Big 12. We're number 3 with a bullet, meaning number 3 conference. So you got Texas at 11, K-State at 16, TCU at 17, and Oklahoma at 20. Robert, you are in Texas. Is this the Longhorns' year, man? Talk to
me. The Austin American Statesman certainly seems to think so.
The what?
It's the newspaper in Austin, man.
The Austin American Statesman.
That's the name of the paper in Austin.
I'm going to let that go before we lose viewers in Austin.
They seem to think so. I mean, every year Texas is hyped. They certainly have the athletes. They definitely have the facilities.
Yes, they do. I've been there. Wonderful.
It's either at this point, if you can't win the Big 12 on your exit year, obviously it's not happening because they definitely ain't winning any SEC championships. So you better get it while the getting's good.
Well, you know my love affair of K-State because our friend of the show, Dr. Lisa Rubin, is there. So hello, Dr. Rubin. Robert, any thoughts on TCU at 17? I'm going to stay with Texas.
I don't have. They lost a lot of guys. I know that. They kind of came out of nowhere. Let's see what they do.
All right. Will, TCU opens against Colorado. Dion's first game. Are they going to run a score up on them? As somebody who's been a part of teams who've run some score.
I think so. It's going to be like 35-7, 45-10. It's going to be. They're just going to run it up. They're going to run it up.
And Will, last with the Big 12, any thoughts on Oklahoma because they're 20th in the preseason?
They always put a really good team every year somehow. You know what I'm saying?
They stunk last year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. But they always have the athletes that all they need is the ball to bounce the right way for them to score or to come to win. There'll be another standard year for Oklahoma soon. There's nothing really great for them, but starting at least 20th.
Okay, going to the Big 10. Let's see what being number 2 on the national stage looks like. I'm looking for some non-conference dominance. That's what I need from the Big 10. You got Michigan at number 2, Ohio State at number 3, Penn State at number 7. Man, I'm rooting for Penn State. Wisconsin at 19 and Iowa at 25. Will, I'm going to you. Is this the year Penn State beats Michigan or Ohio State? And then they're not 3 anymore, they're 2.
No. No. I don't know if they could beat number 20 Oklahoma.
Come on, man. Penn State is good and they're right. Great is like in arm's reach of them.
Right. They're 7 now. Based on what exactly?
Preseason.
Right. There's really no real metrics to say that they were better than anyone other teams. Certain teams that you can make like Georgia. You're like, obviously they're bringing back certain teams, certain players, same schemes, everything's the same. But I don't know, man. They're not going to. They'll be good. Don't get me wrong. They'll beat the other team that they should. But they could lose to a team like Maryland, or you never know.
So Robert, with Iowa, they're 25th. Is this the last year I've got to worry about Iowa? Because now, after this year, they're not going to have this bogus Big 10 West Division, and I ain't got to hear about Kirk. Is this the last year I got to even care about Iowa? Talk to me, sir.
You care about Iowa now?
No, I'm talking about they're 25th in the nation. They're not the 25th best team in the nation.
I don't.
They're in that bogus Big 10 West or whatever.
You want to talk about a team watching a team that sucks the fun out of football. They are so offensively challenged. They're offensively offensive.
Right? Kelly quote all of these things in the preview.
They're so bad on offense. So bad. So their defense will keep them in games. They will win some games ugly. When they play Iowa State, it'll be, if it does, it'll be 7-3 again with the touchdown coming on a defensive score. Just ugly football.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about Iowa anymore.
So this is going to be the last year because once USC and all these teams come in, they're going to have to play people other than Minnesota or whoever the heck they play.
Right,
they can get run. All right. Yeah, I got a beef. Okay.
But think about this for a second, though. USC going to Iowa on November 17th It's snowing sideways,
Sideways.
and Iowa runs out a 3 tight end set with a fullback. And USC is going to be like, what is this?
Well played, sir. Well played. All right, HBCUs. All right, the cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge is going to be on ABC TV Saturday night, August 26th. Prime time, baby. South Carolina State versus Jackson State. Let's hook it up. Will, are you even going to watch it? Because it's Saturday night at 7:30.
Yes, because I will probably be at home with the kids hanging out.
Right. Man, good. Good to hear. All right, group of 5. Not much going on this week. Conference USA has games, folks. So Florida International is playing Louisiana Tech. UTEP's playing Jacksonville State. I'm still on that one. And Robert, UMass is traveling to your old stomping grounds, New Mexico State. Any New Mexico State data we need to do for strictly for entertainment purposes only?
Hey, guns up, baby. Guns up. Starting quarterback Diego Pavia, who's from Albuquerque. He was the quarterback at New Mexico Military Institute when they won the National Junior College Championship 2 years ago. Kid knows how to win. They're going to be good.
Okay, fans, that's why we're the odd coaches, because we just gave you a preview of New Mexico State, and it's a legit preview. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. And in the MAC, in the Mountain West Conference, we have Ohio versus San Diego State University. Good luck, San Diego State. And in the independents, our favorite independent, shout out to Jake Schaller, Notre Dame, who's 13. Again, beats up on Navy in Dublin, Ireland, and everybody have a beverage afterwards. All right, let's move to the Pac-12. Sorry, I laughed. So let's move to the Pac-12. San Jose State opens against USC, who is number 6 in the nation. And now that the dust has settled, folks, USC is number 6. Washington's number 10, soon to be to the Big 10. Utah is 14, soon to be to the Big 12. Oregon is 15, soon to be to the Big 10. And Oregon State is preseason 18 in the country, and nobody wants them. Will, how do you feel if you're Oregon State and you're 18th in the country preseason? You got a shot to make some things happen. And when the dust settled and the musical chair stopped, you ain't have a seat. Talk to me.
That sounds like every other year at Oregon State anyway.
They're 18th in the nation preseason.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Again, you know what I'm saying? But every year they're good enough to be really kind of good for their own measure. And then at the end of the day, they're not like top 5. We're not even considering them for like the CFP. You know what I'm saying? So they're just a good football. They have a good football program. They put in quality players, but they just don't have that next little that'll kind of get you next to it. But that's it. They're a really good team, really good watch. Take a look.
Nobody's watching because the games are on after 10 p.m. Eastern time. That's what the 7 a.m. Sports Center is for.
There you go.
All right, Robert, we're at the big bad booty daddy of the SEC, the Southeastern Conference. So first and foremost this week, Hawaii is traveling to Vanderbilt to play the Commodores without Lionel Richie. Okay, so you want to play football. Here we go. Georgia's number 1. Alabama's number 4. LSU's number 5. Tennessee's 12. Ole Miss is 22. And Texas A&M is 23. And yes, we're still rooting against Texas A&M. Robert, what are your thoughts on the SEC going into this season, man?
Georgia and Alabama and everybody else just hanging out. I mean, the football from week to week is really, really good, and it's entertaining to watch.
3:30.
Florida and Georgia. You know, the world. They don't call it this anymore, but it still is the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
I thought they still called it that.
They don't call it that on TV anymore.
Oh.
That's what it is. That's what it is. You're correct. Tennessee and Florida. I mean, just so many good games. Just fun to watch. A lot of fun.
You fans who are on our Spotify or what have you, Robert just laughed. So when he talked about Iowa, his face was just down in the dumps. Mentioned SEC football. There's a little sunshine that comes through. Will, what are you thinking about the SEC this year, man?
Oh man, there's going to be competitive. There's going to be a lot of good talent from all the teams. Tennessee should still have some good amount of juice there. Ole Miss should be pretty good. Texas A&M should be still a little good. Obviously, the big dogs and LSU are trying to make a comeback from the national championship.
Brian
And,
Kelly can coach. I might not like him and that fake Southern accent, but he coach, man. If Jake says you can coach, you can coach.
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I just hope that the other conferences can keep up. I mean, let's see what they can do. But it should be good. And
So
then
when
they
we
get
go ahead,
Texas and Oklahoma next year.
next year. That's next year.
So it's getting even more. It's getting bigger. It's gonna be even better. So they got to do their things now because people are gonna stop just. Because I'll start doing stuff in the morning and just be like, I just need to catch that SEC stuff. Like, I don't need to watch the Big Ten or the ACC or all that crap. Like, man, let me go do this stuff. Let me go,
At a different level. All right, so fans, when we get back, we're going to have the conference realignment conversation. That's why I'm so happy our administrators here. We're going to really tell you what happened, and we're going to have some fun with it. We'll be right back on the Ad Coaches Podcast.
The CKA SAVE Project is an industry leader in advocating for student-athlete, academic, and athletic needs. Through academic and athletic enrichment, the CKA SAVE Project is on the forefront of the issues facing 21st century student-athletes. As student-athletes continue to struggle to find a better balance between academic and athletic success, the CKA SAVE Project offers academic and athletic services to support student-athlete academic success, including academic skills assessment, academic and athletic consulting, academic monitoring, academic and athletic workshops. For more information or to schedule a free consultation, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Ad Coaches Podcast, where we bribe our kids with sweets. And in segment 2, let's talk about this. Pac-12 done. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. So what I want to know, Robert, is who's to blame? Where do we go from here? And we're talking about Oregon State, Washington State, Cal, and Stanford. And what are your suggested next steps? So I want to just jump in with Robert. Robert, who's to blame for this foolishness?
Well, they got greedy. I mean, in the end, all of this realignment stuff is about dollars, and they got greedy, and I think they overestimated their value in the market, and that's why you have USC and UCLA and Oregon and Hawaii. That's why you have everybody bailing out because they need that money, because that's how they build their facilities, that's how they pay for their programs. That TV money is how all of these schools are able to have volleyball and water polo and all of these Olympic sports, all of these sports that are not revenue producing sports. And I don't know I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with all of these other sports. Football and basketball are going to be fine. They're always going to be fine. But what's going to happen to some of these other sports? If you have USC in the Big Ten, USC sending their volleyball team to Rutgers.
Piscataway, New Jersey, over 2,000 miles away. It's faster flying to than flying back.
That makes 0 sense.
Okay.
0.
So we're going to get to that piece, but I'm going to actually assign some blame. So one, the Pac-12 had the same deal offer that the Big 12 had. Big 12 took it, Pac-12 didn't. Now there's no offer. That's a business decision. 2, the Pac-12 hired an entertainment expert to run their athletics. So entertainment people deal with things differently from a leadership standpoint than people in athletics and then people in academics. So the people in academics were enamored with all of the things that the entertainment person thought about, but the Big 12 hired an athletic person that says, take the damn deal. And the Big 12 took the deal. So now that there's no money out there, so there's your assessing blame to the school presidents, to the school athletic director, and to the decision makers who hired an entertainment person to deal with athletics, because there's no feelings and emotions in athletics. And in education, you're always worried about feelings and emotions, and in athletics, win the game. So there you go. And now where do we go from here? We've got Oregon State, who built a beautiful brand new facility that now they can't afford to keep. That's the reality. They built something beautiful. We'll go ahead and look it up now while we're doing this so you can see how nice that stadium looks that nobody's going to go to in 3 years, 2 years, next year. Okay.
Same thing in Washington State.
Washington State, same thing. And then you've got Cal, who in every other sport other than football and basketball are pretty dadgum good. And Stanford wins the award nationally every year for having the best sports program in the country. And they've got no place to go. And that's crazy. So if you're Oregon State, Robert, if you're Washington State, if you're Cal and Stanford, what do you suggest they do? And that's why they need to go to the ACC.
I don't really know. I mean, what
So
the best they can, I mean, the ACC was really the best thing they could hope for.
And they don't want them collectively.
And what they're, so really the best thing that they can try to do now is cannibalize the closest conferences there and patch together the best thing they can and try to live off the reputation that the Pac-12 and the cash that the Pac-12 name creates. And then, now you're going to have more shuffling. And I don't know what it looks like. I'm convinced, the more I watch this, the more I'm convinced that there needs to be one thing for football.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody else just go back,
And that's what the Knight Commission recommended.
Stay in regional conferences that make sense geographically, that make sense from a travel perspective, that have, similar schools, all that kind of stuff. And football is just a different animal, and just let it go.
All right. So, Will, you're my favorite capitalist. You're about the bottom line. You're a dollars and cents guy. If you're advising Oregon State, Washington State, Cal, and Stanford, they hired Will Cott, what would you have them do, sir?
Like Rob said, you would try to recoup it some way. I mean, you can just, I guess, go to like a different conference and try to feed on the I would even say the ability to just like destroy that conference and just win and just win and just win, and then figure out a way out in a couple of years. Like, okay, well now we're a prime pig. You know what I'm saying? Now we've been shined up a little bit, and they had to dust off a little bit and find where to go. It's going to be difficult. You know what I'm saying? They may have to rebrand. They may have to just not in terms of like their structure or even what their expectations are for a sports program. You know what I'm saying? This is becoming unheard of for a lot of places in university. I mean, now guys are getting pushed out, priced out in a fast way that's, guys have to figure it out. So I would say just get where you win, get into a conference and just win, and then everything else will kind of fix in itself. But the first thing you gotta do is just find a home. When you don't have a home, find a home and then go from there.
All right, so let's look at the other conferences. The SEC. Do you want Florida State and Miami? Well, Florida doesn't want you to have Florida State and Miami, so you got that going on. The Big Ten, they want Notre Dame. And in the ACC, they would want University of North Carolina, and they would want Miami because they're part of the Association of American Universities. Fans, that's the real AAU, just so you'll know. And although Florida State's a part of that, they just kind of got there. So the Big 12 is done. They have stated that publicly and privately. So I want fans to see what having a good plan will do for you. The Big 12 is like 2 years ago, Robert, when we started this show, the Big 12 was almost done.
Mhm.
And now, with a new commissioner and a plan, they look quite healthy.
Yep.
The ACC, the four schools against expansion are Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, and North Carolina State. Everybody else says, let's bring them in. And Notre Dame, who is in the ACC in every sport but football, said, let's bring in Stanford. And if we got to bring in Cal to bring in Stanford, so be it. If one of those schools change their mind, then expansion will be approved. So look for folks to leave the ACC at the end of this year and try their luck in court. That's my prediction. And then the American. The American may be the poacher or the poachess, or the poachees, if you will. Because if I'm the American, I want Oregon State. I want Washington State. I want Cal, and I want Stanford, and I will wait for them. But I want you to think about it. The American, what are you getting? 6 to 10 million a year? Did you see that stadium, Will, in Washington State? 6
Yeah.
10 million a year ain't gonna do nothing in Pullman, Washington.
Not now. But that value may inflate. You know what I'm saying? That's what they say. But you know.
All right. So, two other quick stories I wanted to get through before we get to segment 3. Robert, this is on you. This is what the definition of tone deaf is. Northwestern's athletic director, Derrick Gragg, pushed back against a T-shirt that supported Coach Pat Fitzgerald, or should I say, former coach. So the T-shirt read, Cats Against the World on the front, followed by 51 on the back, which is Pat Fitzgerald's number. As you know, Pat Fitzgerald was relieved of his duties based upon allegations of hazing that were bad. So, Robert, this comes across your desk. Kids are wearing this T-shirt, and so are some of the coaches. What's your reaction, sir, as our favorite administrator?
That is such a terrible look. I mean, Northwestern's going to have they're going to have some issues this year, and that's kind of emblematic of that. I think they need to find out where those T-shirts came from, and whoever created the T-shirts and distributed said T-shirts is no longer going to be employed, because you can't do that. You can't do that. You just can't do that because of the implications of the hazing. If you allow that, then you have the people who are suing the school, saying that you're not addressing the situation. And it's...
But Robert, what about my First Amendment rights? I've got the right to wear what I want to wear because the Constitution.
You do not. You do not get to cause a disruption at a school. No. And especially when we're getting sued for said disruption. No, you do not.
Okay. Thank you. That's why we have you here. Finally, in this segment, Will, 4 Iowa State players and 3 from Iowa have been charged in the state's investigation into sports wagering, which alleges that several bets were placed on games in which these players play. According to the criminal complaint, the players face a charge of tampering with records and aggregated misdemeanor for concealing their identity with electronic wagering. And according to the NCAA's updated guidelines on gambling, athletes who wager on their own sport or others can face permanent loss of eligibility. This goes along with other players from Iowa and Iowa State. Now, we're on a slippery slope, and that's why I'm glad you're on the show. We're promoting gambling, but we don't want gambling from the players, including the NFL and college. How do you respond to this, sir, as our resident regular guy who will call you on BS?
I think they have to do it. I think they have to go hard. I think as a business that they're growing in terms of sports betting, and it's becoming more normative, I guess I would say. Is that a word? I don't know. But is it becoming normal in the regular social status? Yes, it is. And at some point, you're going to have more people who already feel a certain way with a guy called Tim Donaghy, people are always thinking the refs are always doing crooked. Everything is crooked, So the only thing that you can do to kind of hold on to your integrity is to actually punish people who do it the ways that they should be doing. Now you're a player, you're betting on your team.
What are you doing?
But what's even worse is you're using a fake alias. I'm like, why don't you just get like a cousin or Uncle Fred, or why don't you tell, hey, Uncle Fred, let me tell you what's going to happen on Saturday. Bam, put that in. And well, why do you have to do it yourself? So I think they should go hard on it. Put the axe come down. Let people know that this because this is like one of those things where it's like a fire that you don't stick out, or put your foot out. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a big fire, a big issue that can go rampant. So if you see like a little fire, and if you can catch it, let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of that. So, they're gonna catch. They'll never play football ever again. Wow. And nobody will be like, oh well, they should be wrong. But that's it. It's business now.
Robert, you got the last word on this because you're our administrator. This has come across your desk. I know you know the story. How are you handling this?
Well, my initial reaction is, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, if you are normalizing this in terms of making gambling readily available, what did you think was going to happen? I mean, and this is where we are in the world, and this kind of stuff is going to happen. I agree that the suspensions for and it's unfortunate because they are kids, that they have to be significant because you want to deter that as much as you can. That being said, I think we're going to see more and more of this, and I really think it's just a matter of time before we see the next game fixing scandal. That's coming sooner rather than later. That's coming, and we need to be ready for that.
All right. And speaking of sports betting, in segment 3 of the OCP, strictly for entertainment purposes only, we're going to set you up for this season because it's week 0. We'll be right back on the Odd Coach Podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Fallon Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast, and in segment 3, it's that time. It is week 0, so the OCP's preseason top 5. Got Georgia's number 1, they're in the SEC. Got Michigan number 2, they're in the Big Ten. Ohio State number 3, they're in the Big Ten. Alabama number 4, they're in the SEC. And the 5th ranked team, and that's because they're the highest ranked group of 5 team, is Tulane from the American Conference. They're the best group of 5 team, and the best group of 5 team goes to the Cotton Bowl, if I am not mistaken. On the outside looking in, USC's Pac-12, Clemson's ACC, Oklahoma and Texas are from the Big 12 along with TCU, and UTSA from the American. They're getting other votes. So again, college football playoffs are the top 4 teams. That's all we care about. And the 5th team is that group of 5 team that is going to be in the Cotton Bowl. Robert, what are your thoughts, man? You know how we do business. Agree, disagree, anybody you're adding? What are you thinking?
That's a good place to start. And we may see some shuffling over the course of the season, but in the end, wouldn't shock me one bit if that's how we end.
Yes. Will, what do you think, sir? Because again, they're not going to be 3 SEC teams in the college football playoff. They're not going to be 3 Big Ten teams in. So I'm thinking one conference is going to get 2 and everybody else is going to get 1. What say you?
I think, like Robert said, I think it's good. I mean, there's really other teams that you could really say are going at it that are really not in the contention. I think it's good for Tulane and just, for people who may be casual fans who are just like, oh, that's not a team I haven't seen. And I'm kind of a little more interested a little bit. So that's good for them. But everything else looks like it's standard. So no complaint with that.
All right. So let's introduce our audience to Sports Betting 101. 1, the OCP is strictly for entertainment purposes only. We say that often. Please don't put your mortgage on the stuff we're doing. You'll get your feelings hurt. 2 years from now, I would like sports betting to be my part-time job when I have just a little bit more time, but that's a shoot that 5 people are now laughing and spitting their coffee out. And I only do football and March Madness. That's it. Okay. Because during COVID, I actually studied sports betting. So this is my second year of formalizing my picks. I do 8 season-long bets, and I do 5 Saturday bets that are released at 11 a.m. Saturday morning on social media. So again, follow myself on CKA Save Project and follow the Odd Coaches podcast on @OddCoaches on X, Twitter, or whatever they're calling it this week. I don't care. So here's my process. I do mixed methods because I'm a doctoral person and I did quantitative, which is numbers, but I also love stories, and that's qualitative. I have a subscription to CBS Sports Line. That's about $9.99 a month. Feel free, CBS Sports Line, if you want to drop us something. But I personally want VSiN, but I can't afford that. That's like real betting stuff. I don't, I'm still, that cheap guy, and I'm sure Robert's laughing because he knows how cheap I am too. I read and cover the sport weekly, so it's not like I'm not involved in the storytelling. I got a show to do. And I talk to fans who care. Will are one of the fans that care. And Will does stuff betting-wise that I will never do, but I'm so glad he does it because he makes me think about things. And Robert's dropping knowledge on New Mexico State. That's why I like talking to Robert, because I would never think about any of these things. And then I trust my gut. I only have a set amount of time to do this anyway. So at the end of the day, here you go. And I also stay on budget, which makes me the worst gambler for Vegas because after a certain amount, I get up and walk away and they're like, come back. Nah, I'm good. See you tomorrow. Okay. And I only bet on 5 games a week. So that limits all the stuff I really want to bet on. Nah, I'm only betting on 5. So, and finally for me, I like to have fun. I am entertained. This is my hobby. It's not my life. So if I lose, which happens, I'm good. So with that, Will, any advice or thoughts to the sports betting public, strictly for entertainment purposes only?
Just make fun. That sometimes be fun. It's not about making a whole ton of money. It's not about making like thousands of dollars. So you'll see stuff on like social, and guys like, oh, I put this parlay and made $50,000, $60,000. It's just it makes games a little bit more fun for me. It's Thursday night and the Jets are playing the Browns and it's raining and it's sloshy. I might put a little parlay in just to make it a little bit more fun for myself. Remember, at the end of the day, it's fun. Don't overstretch yourself. Don't, like Coach says, don't drop the mortgage on a one parlay, man. It's fun for us. It's a game. And if you make a lot of money, great. But the game is just a game. It's supposed to be fun for you. So
and Robert, who doesn't put $1 on anything, that's why he's willingly to give his advice out. Any thoughts? Because hey, you're our fan that just gives us information because you live in Texas. And hey, I heard this on the news.
I just enjoy watching. I am not and it's not legal in Texas for
Oh,
one.
it's not.
Oh,
That is not a place we're moving.
so that's a problem. Not that it won't be soon, but it's not legal now. So if I really wanted to cast a bet, I'd have to drive north into Oklahoma because there's a casino right across the border that has a sports book. So
we're not doing all of that.
I ain't doing that. So
okay,
here we sit.
All right. So now in terms of season-long bets, last season for my season-long bet totals for college, I won 82%. I bet like 12 and won 82% of that. So I'm feeling confident. So here's where I'm going at, guys, this year. Clemson over 9.5. I'm not a fan of Dabo Swinney, but what does that have to do with making money? I think Clemson's going to win at least 10 games. In the American, I am on the Tulane wagon. It is not Project Cincinnati franchise, but I'm on the Tulane wagon. So that's over 9.5. I'm going to take it. For the Big Ten, I got Maryland over 7. And at worst, it's going to be a push because I think they'll win at least 7. But if they win 8, we hit the pay window, as Gorilla Monsoon used to say. Big 12, I got Texas over 9.5. Again, I don't like Texas. But what does that have to do with winning money? So last year, I took the under with Texas. This year, hey, I'm not dumb. I'm listening to the news. I'm hearing all of this stuff. And we ain't even talked about Arch Manning yet. So I think Texas will win 10 on their way out of the Big 12. Group of 5, I'm going to tell you now, fans, I got Troy over 8.5. Pay attention to Troy. They're going to be okay. And I think they're going to win. Independent, I'm a mark for Notre Dame. BCA all the way. I don't know if they're going to win 9, but I'm going to take the positive and say, hey, over 8.5, I'll take it. Pac-12, over 8.5 for Utah. Utah is the one that's going to get in the way. Utah's going to mess it up for everybody. And that's okay with me. And then finally, in the SEC, I'm taking Tennessee over 9.5 because they're supposed to be good this year. And Alabama still don't know who their quarterback is. So that's kind of how I'm rolling with my season-long bets. Will, any thoughts about my season-long bets, sir? What do you think?
They all look good. They all look good. They all look good for me.
Okay.
I like them. Hopefully Tennessee can stay healthy, but everything.
I'm a Tennessee skeptic, man. I don't feel good about that one.
Okay. Man, okay, Robert, they're supposed to have, I'm trying to sell Robert now. They're supposed to have a good quarterback. They had a lot of guys coming back, and the big fish are not as good as they used to be. And Tennessee, outside of losing Hendon Hooker, remember, he got injured. That kid got some live reps. So did I sell you that they can win 10 games?
No.
Okay. This is what I try to do every week, fans. And it's okay.
I in the SEC winning 10 games.
Well, they're not playing 10 SEC games. They got some skilly bum.
The SEC schedule is 8 games, and they're probably playing St. Agnes for the blind and one-legged in their non-conference schedule because that's what SEC schools do.
Yes.
But that means
give me some Vanderbilt, baby. Give me some Vanderbilt.
That means and they get to play Vanderbilt because that's their rival. I'm not sold, man. Not feeling it.
All right, that's okay. But Robert, they play Virginia. They play Florida. They're going to beat Florida. They play South Carolina. They're going to beat South Carolina. Yes, they play Austin Peay. Yes, they do. Guilty. They play UTSA, who should give them a pretty good game. But anyway, okay. I'm trying to count it. All right, so fans, we're in week 0. So please make sure you follow us, myself and Will. Robert is just going to make fun of us. And here's how I do my bets. I do a game of the week under the point spread. And last season, I won 58% of those bets. And to be a halfway decent better, you're 53%. So I did pretty well on that. I'll do an over-under game. Last season, I was 50% on my over-under game, so I got to get better because I'm trying to get to 53%. That's the goal. I'll do a 2 play of the week based off the point spread, and I was 50% on that last year. Again, trying to get to 53%. I'll do a 3 play, but unlike last year where I did it on the point spread, I'm just doing the money line because it was always one team that would just mess it up for everything. So I'll get a lower return on that, but that's okay. And I'll do 1 straight up upset of the week. Last year, I only got 20% of that. So that's why they're called upsets. So overall, I got about 45%, and I'm trying to get to 53%. So anyway, with that being said, we have a fundraiser going on to close the show. The CKA Save Project is selling CKA gear and Odd Coaches gear. So if you go to www.ckasaveproject.itemorder.com, please order one of our fine shirts. A portion of the proceeds go to assisting student athletes in getting this outstanding book behind me, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. So help us out. As we wrap up, Will, what are you looking forward to week 0, sir?
The start of the football kind of whole cavalcade kind of thing. Start with college, and then it follows up into the NFL, and then we're just entrenched until February, man. So I'm just excited about that, man. And I love it. I love it.
All right. And Robert, week 0. By the way, why is it called week 0? Anyway, what are you thinking about going into week 0?
Well, going into week 0, that's actually the start of Friday Night Lights here in Texas. So I have a football game Friday night.
Yes,
so,
fans. Robert is a high school, and do you still do college football, or you just do college basketball?
I do college football. I do college basketball, but we're gonna have the bands, gonna have the cheerleaders. Nice. It's Texas high school football. There's nothing like it. And we're gonna have a good time Friday night, and then I'm gonna park myself on the couch on Saturday and start watching college football, baby.
I love it, man. So on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, and we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.